Roosters can either make or break your experience with chickens, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about some reasons why you should and should not consider buying roosters. Use this video as a reference. For all of this, I'm going to be going through my personal experiences. I'm going to use my two roosters, Waldo, who unfortunately passed away in July of last year, and Falcon, who is still alive. Let's get into it, guys. If you've ever been around roosters, you most likely know that they are extremely bipolar in nature. You can get a rooster that's really, really great. Like, you can get the greatest possible rooster. One day, he's the greatest. He's literally the greatest behavior you've ever seen in a rooster. And then the next day, he genuinely shows up at your door, armed and dangerous, and ready to, and is not afraid to unload. Unfortunately, that is basically how roosters work. And then the next day, they're chill at you again, man. Roosters, you can't really do that. So my number one tip is don't mock their crows, because you have no clue what they're actually saying. So that's an easy way for the rooster to run up at you and put you on a t-shirt. So what you want to do is you want to just ignore them, but there's a lot of reasons why you can't really ignore them. There's like they make themselves as hard as possible to ignore, because they're just like that. Roosters, unfortunately, will always be like that, and they'll never not be like that. So just get used to it. And yeah, there's many tips and tricks to keep them stop being bipolar, but they're pretty bipolar in nature, and it also depends on the breed of chicken as well. Yep, and of course, they will change your hens, and by changing your hens, I'm not talking about in a good way, like they'll make them more friendly. No, they'll actually make them more flighty, because the hens, instead of following a human, like a lot of people want them to do, they'll end up following their rooster. And their rooster, especially if he's an idiot like my rooster, Falcon, is, then unfortunately he'll lead them right into a trap, which is why my pet flock is highly uncivilized nowadays. And back when they were at their peak physical condition in 2020 and 2021, they were incredibly friendly chickens. Like, I could go up to them, they'd let me pet them, sorry about that, but then the next day, but not the next day, wow, I'm stupid. When we introduced Falcon, they became flightier and flightier. Now I can't go within a 20-foot radius without them thinking I'm going to turn them into a 20-piece chicken McNugget, because that's how Falcon and all those roosters work. Although you can have a rooster that changes you for the better and will make those chickens like you more, there are about, I'd say it's a 60-40 split. 60% of the time, it won't end well for you, unfortunately. That's just how it goes with all these roosters and stuff. Next up, we got him soft blocking the door. And by the door, I mean many different things. This is just a more fancy way of saying he makes your life more difficult around the chickens. Last clip, we talked a little bit about how he will change your hens for the worse, but we never really talked about how he'll make it impossible to access the yard. Like, if you dare step one step close to that yard, he is, of course, going to put you on that t-shirt, like always. But the worst part about it is, if your rooster is actually in shape, he works out at the gym every day, he wakes up at 3 a.m., goes to the gym, works out for like 19 hours of the day, and then goes back to bed at like 11 p.m. after like having like 3-calorie meal, then yeah, your rooster is going to fly right over that fence, and he's going to end up at the door. So the second you go outside, maybe like take your dog for a walk, you might have to worry about your dog getting flogged by the rooster, which is not good at all. Or, worse yet, if you have like, younger people around you and they go outside and he's not too friendly around them, that could lead to potentially serious injury, or just having a bad memory on their minds for the remainder of their life to look back at and probably laugh at. And then there's your part as well, where like the rooster just causes a general nuisance in your household. If he does that, well, I think it's pretty much time that you can turn him into that 10-piece chicken McNugget. Now we're at the part of the video where now I'm going to argue for getting a rooster, and then at the end of the video I'm going to tell you whether you should or should not get a rooster. But defense is one of the most generic answers that you could ever get. Like, let's just say you're in an argument, hypothetically, like the dinner table or something like that, and you're doing a quick little debate, you're talking with your family, and you're talking about whether or not you should get a rooster. If you bring up, oh, they'll defend your chickens, you're most likely going to get laughed at. Because although they do, some of the times, that's really just a generic response. Like, it's really bland. Like, you're like, oh, they defend chickens, that's all they do. No, they do way more than that, trust me. But it's at least really useful to have them defending your chickens, especially if you have a good rooster like Waldo. I keep referencing him in this video as he was a really in shape rooster. I'm not joking. He was like 3.5 pounds, and for his size, it's actually really small. It was really clear that he cared more about his hens than anything else, and he put their safety first over his own safety. He would fight for the hens, and he would do anything. And with Falcon over there on the corner, over there, subject number 2, yeah, he didn't do anything. He would just sit there and watch the chickens get absolutely destroyed by the opposing force while just sitting there and having a coffee while just saying, well, everything's fine now, I guess. I don't care. It's not me. But yeah, that's all you gotta remember is that although they do provide defense, it is an argument to be made that yes, it's possible they don't do anything. And believe it or not, roosters can actually help you make money. I know it sounds crazy, but there is many ways, like hatching out baby chickens. If your rooster mates with the right chicken breed, you gotta get this right. You gotta combine the right chicken breeds. You gotta understand that if you mix the wrong breeds, you will get the ugliest chicken in recorded history that lays the weirdest eggs. I mean, you do you. You can create a brand new chicken breed and call it your own chicken. I don't know, call it your own chicken breed, but me personally, I'm going to stick to the classical ones that I know will work and won't turn out to be ugly. That's one of the ways you could do it. Another way is by selling, of course, fresh chicken nuggets, especially ones by roosters who decided to not behave properly around the chickens or around you. That's another pretty big way. There's many other ways that you can make money from roosters. I actually made a video, I think a couple weeks ago, talking about how to make money from your chickens, and I did bring up a few points in that video that did surround roosters, but I didn't really cover the topic too big. But I do personally think that like mating the chickens properly can give you the greatest possible outcome with baby chicks that you can then sell. Just remember, you gotta not give them like straight run and stuff like that, because people do not want those straight run hatched chickens, unfortunately, for you. So now we've moved on to the big question here. Are they actually worth it? Are roosters worth getting? Well, for the price, yeah, absolutely. They are very good value. Like, you can have a hen that could cost like $65, but the rooster will cost like $39 because of the many different things. At a price standpoint, absolutely, yeah, you can get yourself some roosters, but unfortunately, not all of them are the same, I will say. So there's many arguments that can be brought up in this argument. So what I'll say is it depends on your level of expertise about chickens. If you're just getting into raising chickens right now, like you're gonna start maybe in like 2 or 3 days, or next spring or next fall or whatever, or even the summer, I don't know, but like if you're gonna be doing that, I would recommend not getting roosters your first time. Your second time, if you want a little bit more experience and now you know a little bit more about chickens, your expertise has increased, then maybe then you should consider getting a rooster. It depends on who you are and what suits you best.